All right, welcome you guys to the July edition of the Triple A. That's the Ask Antoni Anything session with me, Antoni Trenchev, one of the co-founders and a managing partner here at Nexo. So excited to be here. Lots and lots of stuff going on in the past 30 days. Whoever said the markets don't move during the summer did not get it right this year. So plenty to discuss. And without further ado, let's dive into the first question that was voted up by you guys. And it comes from Talion, a very regular viewer, Nexo client and investor, participant, is always in the top 10 somewhere. And he asks us, recently there was a crackdown against Blockfi in some US states. How does that affect Nexo going forward? Please share your thoughts about the situation and what's its potential effect on Nexo. No surprises with this question. It is on everybody's mind what has been happening in the US in terms of regulation with, in particular, Blockfi, but equally important, the continued FUD around Tether, also a crackdown, if you will, on Binance activities, the deleveraging of the system. So I'm going to spend some time here trying to make sense out of this for the benefit of you guys, for the benefit of the whole community, and just give you my 2 cents on it. It's going to be 2 cents implies it's going to be little, so it's going to be a little more than that. So maybe my $2 on it, but there's no such expression. Be that as it may, it is quite obvious then when crypto has grown to the size that it has, you're going to see regulatory interest, and this is normal. This was to be expected. We at Nexo have always prepared with that, structuring our product in such a way that is in compliance with the regulatory frameworks, because we are grown-ups, we are people who have been in the fintech space and the regulated space for 14 years, close to 15 years now. And, this is something that we see over and over again. An industry get hot, generate a lot of interest, accumulate a lot of wealth that is being managed within the industry. And then obviously the watchdogs and the regulators, they would have to have their say in it because they have to protect, the retail, consumers, customers, etc. That's their mandate. So no surprises here. From day one, we have been actively engaging with regulators in different jurisdictions. This is the usual course of business. There's sometimes this, internal feeling that the regulator is looking into something that necessarily means that something bad has happened or is about to happen or has been happening for a while, which might or might not be the case. And it's up to us as a community how we digest this news, up to the media how they go about reporting it. We've had inquiries by regulators. We operate in 200 jurisdictions, so quite a few of those, and usually always they end up with, or thus far have ended up to case closed, to the satisfaction of the regulators about the way that we do things at Nexo. Now, in particular with Blockfi, and Blockfi are people that I know, that we work with sometimes, sometimes we compete. It's no secret, they're the closest thing we have to a competitor. So obviously we watch very carefully what is unfolding there and what this means for Nexo, for the industry, for every single one of you and of us. I too am a client of Nexo. I'm a Nexo token holder. This is important to me as well. And there is no Schadenfreude, to use the German word here. We are not happy at what is happening, that they are amidst this bit of a turmoil right now. for the simple reason that the product on the surface that we have serves the same goals. You know, you entrust a company with assets and you get interest on those assets. So we have a very similar offering. Now, I'm not a specialist on how exactly they have structured their product and the way that the legal underpinnings work for them. It might or might not be the same thing as Nexo. We would have to wait and see. Blockfi, they came out, they say that they're going to fight this to the end. They think that the state regulators are wrong, that their offering presents a security. This is one of the allegations by, I think, four different state regulators, where they say you have been selling securities, and BlockFi says no, we haven't been selling securities, and we're going to prove that. So once I get my hands on this proof, I'm presuming this will be disclosed to the public. I don't have any proprietary knowledge here. We can then assess how that exactly compares to Nexo, but we are keeping our eye on this game with the regulator, how it's going to play out between BlockFi and the regulators. We are, always open to discuss, show, and present the way we do business at Nexo. We work with top law firms, particularly in the US, since here is the case. They have helped us devise our business models. So, it is very early still to tell how exactly and what exactly that means for Nexo. But one key area where we differ very much from BlockFi and another competitor that I don't like to mention because they don't behave as good as BlockFi in terms of corporate communication and collegial attitude and going about talking about and to colleagues. So I'm not even gonna name them, I'm sure all of you know, but the difference between us and them is that they have, to the best of my knowledge, 80 to 90% of their business in the United States, whereas Nexo, we are originally from Europe. This was one of our first markets that we conquered, and to this day we have a much more diverse geographical presence, less reliant on the United States. So regardless of what happens and what attitude the regulators and the watchdogs on a state and a federal level decide to take in the United States, it is my belief that due to the diversification, Nexo will be one of the companies that, worst comes to worst, we will fare much better than the other guys. This much I can tell you. It's just because we have a smaller percentage allocation in the United States, meaning that the United States are a smaller market out of the total pie and addressable market of Nexo. I think that was plenty. Obviously, we're following the situation very closely. It is important to me. It is important for the space. But on the last point, I would like to say that, while this can cause some short-term volatility, ultimately that is a very good thing for the space, that the regulators on a state and a federal level, and when I say federal level, I mean Gensler and the SEC, giving some forward guidance here as to what is going to happen. It's a good thing because they have been sort of snoozing a little bit the past 2 years, haven't really told us what to expect, and this is actually what we as entrepreneurs want the most: clarity. Okay, this is the framework, you can do certain things, and for you to do those things you have to structure them in a certain way, and we're not fine with you doing this, so please refrain from doing that. I have no problem with that. All we ever wanted are clear rules and guidelines, and this is going to be ultimately better for the space, and we are very well equipped to tackle that. So I do remain optimistic that the business of not only Nexo but the space as such is going to continue to expand. Now, moving on to the second question, comes from David McCormack. Sounds like an Irish name. Any relation to Peter McCormack, and the guy who does the What Bitcoin Did podcast? Great guy, even though he is being sponsored by Blockfi. Just a small joke here, little joke coming off the last question. So David McCormack asks us, and me in particular, Antoni, please advise if Nexo will distribute the Songbird SGB tokens airdrop from Flare. They will be airdropped to you for distribution to those who held XRP on Nexo on December 12, 2020, before the actual Spark, FLR is the ticker here, airdrop. All right, so a little bit to unpack here. Obviously comes from an XRP investor who is very well versed into the ins and outs around their airdrops. I love to see some love from the XRP community. We have something in store for you that we are going to announce shortly that will hopefully restore the faith of the XRP community in Nexo. We had our ups and downs, but I think we have some news that you'll find useful, interesting, make you happy. Now, in particular with regards to the airdrops, I talked to the team who is in charge of that, and they have told me that they are in talks with the Flare guys, the team at Flare, and they're discussing on how exactly to best protect the interests of the XRP token holders, and I have been assured that this will be the case. As always, there's nothing I personally or the management or the team at Nexo wants more than happy returning clients who stay retained at the platform and enjoy and do their crypto banking from there. So we will update you as soon as we know what the outcome of the discussion with the Flare team is. So do stay tuned. All right, we'll have a question here about Polkadot and Cardano deposits, when those will be activated. I don't have an exact ETA. We made the announcement that this will be added as collateral options, and I think also as trading pairs on the Nexo platform. From what I heard from the team, they're doing some last checks and tests with regards to the security and how the platform works, and I don't want to go into the details of how software capabilities are engineered and then brought to production, because that will kill the entire hour we have today. But suffice it to say, it is on a modular basis and it has to fit within the larger framework of the infrastructure. So from what I understand, we're very near the finishing line. So it will be very soon, but I don't have an exact date, and we'll make the announcement as soon as we have it. Next question, please. All right, Dario asks the following. Hi, Antoni. We have noticed a lot of investments by Nexo on other platforms. How do these investments benefit the current Nexo user? Wouldn't be better to upgrade your platform and keep adding features? Well, Dario, that's a very good question. To answer the second part, we have not slowed down by any means on the feature adding front or developing our own products. By no means. quite the opposite. The team is getting larger and larger, which means we can, engage in even more tasks, have different teams working on different things. So, for them to make the Voltron unite, if you will. And this is great. This is going to be the case. This is also the main revenue driver for Nexo. New features, new utilities, new services. They are great for business, so we're never going to stop with that. Now, with regards to the investments, they are usually in types of projects where we currently not necessarily have the expertise, or where we feel that other teams and companies are ahead of us in terms of the implication of a good idea. Because previously as an entrepreneur, I was always scared to share my idea. Oh, what if he steals my idea? Okay, well, having an idea is the easiest thing in the world. I have 5 great ideas a day. It's the implementation of that idea and actually making it work. So, once you see somebody doing a good job and they're in an early stage and they have the proper setup, it sometimes makes sense to invest in that. Just from a capital gains perspective, money management, corporate management, because that can yield very nice returns. And we have seen, VCs, hedge funds, a lot of individuals do incredibly well just investing in company startups from the crypto space, from the blockchain space. I think that this year alone, despite the downturn, we have seen 4 billion pour in just the last 2 months, meaning after the significant correction into crypto startups. So the potential is there, the interest there, and smart money coming in. And we wanted to do a little bit of that. Now, it's nothing gargantuan given the total balance sheet of Nexo, nothing too crazy. 95% of all startups fail, so we always are planning for that when we manage our own corporate funds. But we do feel that there are a lot of opportunities in which, apart from just the capital gain side of things, give you access to products so that you can quickly bring into production certain services and offerings that might take you longer otherwise. Now, what does that mean for the Nexo user? It means that you get to participate and enjoy products and services quicker, that they come to fruition quicker. It also means that Nexo's bottom line as a company is well off, which ultimately means, were these the dividend times, you'll get more dividends. But now that we've moved to the earn interest on your Nexo model, it means that the profitability ultimately decides the interest rate that you get on the Nexo tokens. And us being more profitable means that we can withstand the pure market forces of supply and demand and ensure that the very high interest rates of 12% for the Nexo token in kind can be maintained for a longer time duration, giving you reasons to be happy, I hope. Moving on to the next question. Francesco asks us the following. Hello, is there any progress on the following topics? Banking licenses, card, audit, public financial statements, withdrawal before a term ends, paying a fee. Also, could you mention any major features coming in August? Thank you. All right, on the banking license, I don't have anything new to say. I might add that with the recent, it's not quite turmoil, but renewed, enhanced due diligence interest in crypto companies, I think the final stretch between agreeing with the buyer the talks with the regulator and them signing off on any deal with regards might take a little longer, and this is just the objective truth. There is nothing I can do about it or the Nexo team doing about it, because usually when something is not delivered, it's the team's fault, they're not working hard enough, or Antoni has gone on vacation this year, he should have stayed and worked around the clock. It's nothing like that. There are objective challenges which are out there, and they can and will be overcome, but it just takes time. So nothing new to add here. The card, same. The audit, same. And public financial statements closely related to the audit. It is just something that the team is working on. Just 1 month since me last answering those questions isn't enough time to have anything major shift here. So nothing new to report. Hope you appreciate the honesty here. I don't want to bullshit you with lengthy answers. There's nothing much new to add here. Now, with regards to the withdrawal before a term deposit ends paying a fee, we have implemented something that has been requested, and it's close to that, not quite there yet, but it is this notion that a lot of people, they have assets against which they have borrowed, and then they have additional assets which they're working on which they have additional assets on which they are earning interest. And for instance, if those interest earning assets are locked up in a fixed term and the market starts to correct, in other words, going down, and the loan to value ratio is increasing, or the total value of your collateral is decreasing, the system can, against losing the interest, it's always unpleasant, but it will automatically dissolve the term deposit so that those assets can go into the pool of assets which are securing your loan, and thus hopefully prevent a liquidation. And then when we're back to good times and we see Bitcoin and how crazy insanely volatile it is and has been, usually you see these downward moves which are quickly retraced, and they it will be useful to have a feature like that which will help you weather this particular storm. And this has been developed and is already all online. It's not quite at will dissolving a term earning period, but it is a step short of that. We'll bring this to the attention of the team, and when they have the necessary resources to allocate to the developing of that, they will assess with the priorities. One thing on why we like term deposits is it gives us the ability to foresee the liquidity that which we can rely on, which is great. And that's why it has the higher terms, because it has to be locked up. Then we can engage with those assets in such a way that will help us generate the best yield possible for you guys. And that's why we have the flexible terms, which are slightly lower. So if in doubt whether you can hold out the entire fixed period, do use the flexible one. It's incredibly high yield as well, comparing to what is happening in the traditional banking sector. And if you are committing for a 3-month period, just be sure you can hold out that period, because this is very important to us. You're doing us a favor here, and we are returning that with the higher interest rates. All right, next question. Are there any plans to increase the utility of the Nexo token? Well, yes, we are always doing that. most recently, the loyalty program has been enhanced. I'm gonna piss some people off, but with the card, there's going to be additional utility to the Nexo token. Just a few months ago now, you can earn better terms with the Nexo token. You can earn interest in kind, currently at 12%, pardon me, on the Nexo token. So there has been a constant rollout of new utility features for the Nexo token. So, the question sort of comes in my... I feel it as if we haven't done anything with the Nexo token. I do like to differ here and say that we have been on a mission to constantly bring out new utilities to the Nexo token, and we have been quite successful in my opinion. So there's full steam ahead with additional utilities for the Nexo token. Dario again asks us, can we have a function to unlock Can we have a function to unlock fixed term on fiat in exchange for a small fee? Okay, that sort of is a similar question he already or somebody else asked. To unlock the fixed term on fiat in exchange for a small fee. Well, quite frankly, I covered that. It's true for all assets. I don't see a reason to single out fiat. It is the notion that, fixed term are supposed to be fixed term. That's why we have the flexible terms as well. And, the durations are not incredibly lengthy. So if you're uncomfortable with a few months of locking up, I suggest you use the flexible term. Otherwise, it sort of defeats the purpose. Yes, the small fee, but we are relying on the liquidity to structure other products around it, so it's more important to us than the small fee. But it is something that we will look into going forward, and we see where it takes us. Chris asks us, will Nexo be added to a top-tier exchange? Now that it isn't considered a security token anymore, and why the website is so simple at this point. No dark theme, it's unreal. Now let's address the questions here in their rank of importance. A dark theme, everybody wants that, myself included. I just pinged the design team on it, and they say they're working on it both for the website and the mobile app. Now, quite frankly, until very, very recently, Google, 500 billion public company, the gateway to the internet, did not have a dark theme. They only recently launched it in their app, or at least the email app and the search engine, I think only last week. So do cut us some slack here. We're getting there. It's just a matter of priorities. We want to have the products and services. Obviously, the health of the eyes is very important. As somebody who had eye surgery some 3 months ago very well knows. But quite frankly, it just hasn't been the highest priority. I beg to differ that this website is simple. It is one of the most beautiful websites. Shout out to the team, the design team. They're doing an incredible job of making everything Nexo so beautiful. It is a marvel to look at, and a dark theme will go a long way in letting even more people enjoy that. So this is something for the design team to come up with quickly. Now, whether the Nexo token is a security or isn't a security anymore, there are people better versed at judging that than myself. In particular, with the heightened interest in securities laws and crypto companies this past few weeks, we have to tread very carefully in those waters. We are working with our legal team over in the US, the law firms there. As soon as we have something to announce, we will do that. Now, with regard to the top tier exchange, we are on Huobi, which is one of the most liquid exchanges ever. We have recently been listed at Bitfinex, which is also a very liquid exchange. Now, the only other two, I know where you're getting at. When we get listed on Binance, I don't know, with the regulatory crackdown on them, they are super careful. They are very particular in their due diligence. So I quite frankly cannot give you ETA here, and remains to be seen. Everybody wants that, but I would argue that the Nexo token has great liquidity, and this isn't the bull cycle of 2017, 2018, where when Binance tomorrow will 10x your portfolios or tokens value. It just doesn't work like that anymore. I don't think something too crazy will happen regardless of where we list. Just because of the listing alone, it has to be the utility features, it has to be the adoption of the platform, it has to be the growth of the company, it has to be all of that, and it has to be generally the crypto market being in an uptrend, and we have been trading in a sideways confined range for some time now. So until we have that setup aligned, you cannot expect any particular assets to significantly outperform the others. Yeah. All right, moving on to the next question. Can we have our fiat currencies to be used as collateral? How would that make sense? You have 10,000 worth of dollars, you deposit those, you transfer those to Nexo, and you take out a loan against that. Under what circumstances would you need that? And this, I myself am a certified anti-money laundering specialist from one of the most reputable entities that certify individuals. And I tell you that any compliance and AML officer would be very suspicious of such an activity, because it doesn't make any economic sense. It just provides you with a source of funds. You go to your bank and where did you get those, $5,000? I got it from a loan. And no questions asked, and then you are securing that with other dollars. It's just like, doesn't make any sense from economic. You're paying interest on that, so it doesn't make any sense. Or it's a stable coin, which if the AML officer goes down that road, and he'll say, aha, it's a stable coin involved, and they can prove the source of funds for those stable coins. That's why he's taking out a loan, losing, 6% a year, but happy with it because it provides a clear source of funds. I'm just telling you how banks think and how traditional institutions think and how we ultimately will have to think. Not saying that anyone has the intention of money laundering. I'm just explaining of what the thought process of the people monitoring such transactions would be, and it just doesn't make a lot of economic sense. And they have to dig deeper, and they'll have to start asking this question, and it's just not something that I or the team at Nexo we find particularly useful. Are there plans for Nexo to become a bank to compete with Revolut, Monzo, and so on? Asks Anonymous. That's a tough question. You should have remained anonymous. Kidding. But kidding aside, it has always been the plan for Nexo to become a full-fledged bank, because we can offer and advertise more aggressively some of the services that you guys have been enjoying, but which the community outside of crypto is not even aware exist. But to bring it back to the point of whether we're going to compete with somebody like Revolut or Monzo, I don't think so. And quite frankly, I remember, I'm an early investor in Revolut, by the way. I've participated in one of their very, very, very early funding rounds through a crowdfunding in the United Kingdom. I think the market cap was around 50 million. So it was a nice little run we had there with Revolut, and I loved the product, but it's just, it never really made sense how they could offer such a great product. And turned out it is what we then suspected, is that they are bankrolling this incredible product. In other words, the lack of fees meant that they are paying with that for those fees. It's not like they negotiated conditions with MasterCard or Visa to have no ATM fees. They were just covering the fees themselves so that they can generate a lot of users and they grow and then monetize it at a later stage. I guess what I'm getting at is that we at Nexo have historically taken a different approach, in the sense that we never were reliant on VC money. Yes, we had the token sale and we had this incredible luck to secure some financing before we delivered a live product, which was great. And it's, Nexo is one of the success stories of an ICO. Even though we never really did an ICO, we just did the private token sale. So the philosophy has always been different. We started out with the loans because we knew that in every business in the finance sector, the bulk of the money to be made is in lending. It's not in retail banking, having a card and great or no fees for FX and ATMs, etc. This is losing money. It's on their quarterly reports. You can see somebody like Monzo, they're losing 30-40 million a quarter, and they are reliant on this new flows of VC money, and that's why they're doing more and more rounds. By the way, some competitors of Nexo are reliant on that as well. So we have taken a different approach. We always wanted to be self-sustainable. Maybe historically because we didn't quite have the access that some of the US companies had to VC money, and California angel investors, etc. Us being from Europe, we have this in the back of our heads that we have to make money from day one, or at least be self-sustainable, and that's how we structured the product. That's why we started out with the loans. So I don't see us going into a full aggression mode where we will willfully lose money in order to get more clients. We think we have a very good path forward where we continue to be profitable and at the same time generate more followers, if you will, clients, supporters, just the customer base. By the way, I just heard the word from the guys who monitor the platform that we have crossed the 2 million registered users threshold, which is an incredible milestone, and shout out to the entire Nexo team for making this possible. I do get to speak to you guys, but there is a lot of more people at Nexo, and every single one of them deserves the recognition. I'm not going to go through the entire list. It's 250 people, but thank you for all of the efforts, you guys, for making this possible, and obviously to the 2 million people who have put their faith and trust into Nexo. We will not let you down. But to bring it back, to wrap up the question, we are going to do things better so we don't lose money and we have happy investors and can continuously offer the incredible products that we do, and those will not be reliant on any outside funding. When are we going to be able to choose to earn in kind for chosen coins and earn in Nexo for others? Asks Alex. Well, Alex, quite frankly, it seems like a simple feature, but it is quite complicated on the back end to make this happen. So let's say you have Bitcoin, you have Ethereum, you have XRP, you have some Link, you have the Nexo token. And if you want to earn on your Bitcoin in Nexo, but maybe also in a stable coin and maybe a portion in it in Link, and then for Ethereum you want it all in USDC, and then it is very heavy on the platform, it's very heavy on the accounting, and it's heavy on those who have to generate the yield for you afterwards. Very frank here. Going back to the previous question where, you know, differently from other providers, for us to pay you what we promise you, we have to make that money somewhere. We don't have a funding round for another billion, which we'll then take and distribute to clients for free, in the hope that we can repeat that in 3 to 4 months' time. I think so late in the bull cycle, this dangerous game to play. And we don't want to play this game. Also, believe me when I tell you this, this concept does not fare very well with any sort of regulator. And I know perhaps it is not the thing you wanted to hear, but it's the honest thing, and I hope you appreciate the honesty, because some of the companies that are doing that, you know, are taking unnecessary risks, and this could go sour very quickly, and we don't like that. We don't want that. I know that to some users, they put 5, 10K, 50K, depending on their particular circumstances, and they don't care about the underpinnings, and they just want the interest in kind. But I hope there are enough of people out there who appreciate the honesty and the transparency that we have to have a way to generate those yields for you and generate them in a sustainable way. And when I tell you that something is complicated because it might mix this up, I hope it is appreciated by the community. Do you plan to remove the limit for active fixed term, or at least increase it to a higher number than 10? I quite frankly don't really understand the question here. The limit for active fixed terms. Okay, got it. Probably, I myself don't have more than 10 fixed terms, so, and I might get this wrong, but I think what Johnny seems to be saying is that there is a limit on the platform on how many fixed term deposits you can have, and presumably that's 10. So I have to go back to the team and see why that restriction is in place, and whether maybe that impedes something on the platform and makes it work less reliably. Maybe that's a reason. Apart from that, I will have to see what it is, why it is there, and what the plans are to remove it. I will ask the team who are behind the camera, you know who you are. Let's make sure we talk to the engineers and see why. Maybe there's a good reason to have this in place. I wasn't even aware that we have this limitation. Savvy asks us, Nexo customer service leaves a lot to be desired. Most tickets raised were never responded to, even after several weeks, and eventually closed automatically. Love Nexo, but this important aspect really needs improving, please. Well, okay, every now and then we get a message like this, but I think that the customer support team are doing an incredible job, and there's testimony to that, and, you know, on the Trustpilot, on Reddit, if you will, on social media. Yes, there are sometimes tickets that get messed up, but we are well above 2 million clients, and we can hire quickly enough customer support to meet that demand. I think we're doing a finer job than most companies. I remember during the 2017, 2018 boom, for instance, Kraken, you couldn't get past the 404 error page for hours and hours on end, let alone get a ticket answered. I'm sure there are tickets that don't get the attention they deserve as quickly as they deserve it. It happens in every customer service. Believe me, I'm a customer on a lot of things, and it is a challenge for everyone. I think we're doing a finer job here at Nexo. I will bring this to their attention, but there is a finite limit to what we can physically serve, and we are stretching that quite a bit. So I will bring this to the attention, but I also appreciate all the work they have been doing so far. Is there still money free for the buyback program, or is the 12 million used? Nexo Way of Life. Hello, Nexo Way of Life. How is it going? I don't think the entire sum has been used up. There's the address, which is the Ethereum address, which they're playing something funny on the screen all of a sudden. I don't know if this is a technical thing or they're just messing with me. Regardless of that, I'm going to keep on answering the question and not allow myself to be distracted. Point was that there's the Ethereum address, which shows in a transparent way all the assets when they have been deposited. Well, not the assets, but the Nexo tokens in this particular case, when they have been deposited, and the exact sizes here. You can look it up. And I don't believe the 12 million have been used. And even if they have been used, we will more likely than not extend that program. We are in a position to do so. So don't worry, buybacks will continue. We are making money, and we're happy to give at least a portion of it back to you guys, the community. Now I'm seeing a YouTube screen. I'm not gonna comment on the musical tastes of the individual whose YouTube channel that is. It's funny. Not a lot in common with my particular tastes. All right, now we're back to the questions, and if I see the next question, I might even be in a position to answer it. There we go. Now Ben asks us, can we please get the possibility to whitelist withdraw? I know, right? IT guys, engineers, what's happening with the whitelists? I can't bear this any longer myself. Do you have any specific plans for other security features? Well, there have been some security features on the back end that we have been developing with our compliance team. I'm not going to comment on those because it defeats the purpose, but yes, they are. I think they have the IP whitelisting in the pipeline as well. The YubiKey has been pending forever, so they're working on it. Quite frankly, we haven't had any breaches in terms of security for the client, so I think we're in a good place. But at the same time, I understand the need of the convenience for the whitelisting of withdrawal addresses. I hate it that you have to manually put it in, so I'll ping the engineers yet again. Next question, please. What are your thoughts about the next governance vote? Do you have any topics in mind? Or when is it going to happen? We want to vote. Sure, that's not your name. You just made that up for asking this question. Quite frankly, I haven't given it any thought recently. As perhaps you know, I have been trying to relax for a few days this month, so this hasn't been very high on my priority of topics. We'll think about it and have something to say. Guys at the team, do make a note for us to have something intelligible to say next month. And with that, we can move to the next question. Christopher, there we go. We must be near the end of it. Last time you mentioned you were going to take a break. Did you manage to chill for a bit? By the way, that background is very slick. Nice. Well, I thank you for the nice comment. We had the designers redo that. Hopefully it is visible, the great work they did on your monitors. Apparently on Christopher's it is, so thanks for that. Hopefully you enjoy that. I did manage to chill a little bit. Yes, there was like 10 days with less than usual work, not total shut off, but I did enjoy that, and I am invigorated, empowered by having freed up my mind. So glad to be back and glad to take on some of the interesting fights that are in front of us, and hopefully to the benefit of everyone. I guess this was the last question. I most humbly thank you for tuning in and bearing with me for an entire hour. This has been a pleasure. Some interesting topics, a lot of dynamics in the space. Tomorrow morning I'll be at CNBC, 5:40 British Standard Time, I think it is. So I'm gonna get a good night's sleep, and be on the air for you guys to comment, make some Bitcoin predictions, which will hopefully come to fruition. So if you did enjoy that, and if you're an early riser or somewhere in the East, you might tune in and watch my appearance on CNBC. Otherwise, we'll send the links afterwards as soon as we have the video. Apart from that, thank you once again, and I'll see you next month.